Good evening. Head Injury Jane here, aka Angela. I had a really good day today. I finally got the CAT scan taken care of. I had to request an MRI, if you could believe it. Great medical practicing stuff, apparently. I went in with paperwork that said concussion, serious, all these problems. But so it's kind of strange that I'm like requesting medical attention from the doctors. But in either case, I requested an MRI, a CAT scan was approved, and then I actually had to call and find out if it had improved. Apparently, because I forget, and it had been, I guess, quite a bit of time, like 2 weeks at the beginning of this. Anyway, I think they said it was requested either June the 3rd or June the 4th. And I wasn't contacted, so I remembered to track it down because I've been talking about the MRI because there does seem to be a decline in some things that's happening with me that make me quite nervous. But I've had a really good day, and I talked to a wonderful woman named Shirley who did the appointment setting. And today I was really lucid this morning. I wasn't experiencing the headiness that I've been experiencing. So I feel like I'm actually breathing really good, clean oxygen, and I'm like, oh, I feel so good. So I'm actually having a really good day today. Now, when we were going to and from the doctor's office, now that was a little difficult because even with my glasses, this is a new prescription. I bought these at iBuy Direct. So I paid $29 for lenses, frames, and shipping. No, excuse me, 26. And so these are new. And with my new glasses, driving down the road, the sun, I'm learning that there can be triggers and all these different things that are happening that can cause all different problems. Well, today, first off, I had trouble, and when it's bright, I can't even read. So that I was finding myself becoming a little frustrated about trying to look at streets when we're traveling and we're not very familiar with the area. Becomes like nerve-wracking, or you feel like, oh God, I'm gonna get lost out here. And I used to be excellent with directions. I would never feel like, I used to drive across this country by myself with maps, not even GPS units, because I'm a map girl. I actually like maps. But in either case, that caused some stress because I feel pressure that, to make sure that even though I took photos of the map, I took photos of the map and the directions and put them on my phone. So then I could just look at the map and make it big. And even though we had all that, when we got down to Yosemite, there were so many, there were multiple, there was a Park Meadows Center Drive, and we were like, is that it? And so we had to do some finagling because we actually got lost on the way down there. But on the way out, no issues whatsoever. It was like, okay, I know where we're going now. And it's like I'm really forcing myself to pay attention. But we did get lost on the way there, and I was a few minutes late to the appointment. But this woman named Shirley, who took the appointment for the CAT scan, completely wonderful. She made me feel so at ease. And when we talked, she just was really, really kind. I could tell that she was, really connecting. It wasn't just business as usual. And I really enjoy that. I enjoy it because I do feel so challenged sometimes that it's nice when I'm making a connection with somebody where I don't feel like I'm losing my mind and I cannot communicate. So, but on the way home, the sun was so bright that it was reflecting off of cars, and it was just, my eyes were just full of water from where I just couldn't, and I had sunglasses on. I just couldn't get my eyes down, I was like, okay. And I'm not one to not look where I'm going. So I'm like, I gotta get off this road. It's killing me, because we drive home to the west. The medical facility was to the east. So we were driving in at 4:30, driving home. And, but I got the CAT scan done. I'm always surprised that people in the medical profession, especially the young lady who did the CAT scan imagery, she was like, you had a head injury last year and it's just now bothering you? And I'm like, yes. It's amazing to me how many people in the medical field have very little knowledge about head injuries. You would think that people would, understand why they would be performing these kinds of imagery, or even doctors. I'm pretty sure my doctor has no clue about how frustrating and how scary this is. So it is one of those things where you're kind of wow. So I'm thinking I'm going to have to switch doctors to find a doctor who understands traumatic brain injury, head injuries. because I want a doctor who's empathetic to it. And I'm not getting that. I'm kind of getting more like, wait till you see all the other specialists because I'm not a brain doctor. And that's actually quotes. I'm like, okay, then I'm just asking for, like cognitive. I sent an email asking for any kind of cognitive work or something that could help me. And this was last week when I was freaking out. But I'm shocked by how many people who are in the medical field who don't understand head injuries. So I'm really glad about the support group, because the support group, they're like your doctors. You're going to have to find a doctor who gets it. It's going to take you a while. And I thought like I had a doctor who was getting it, but she's not getting it. I don't think so at all. I'm like, you have no idea like how frustrating it is. I think that these doctors and all their glorious, they think that this is a mental health crisis. Like I'm having some kind of mental health breakdown or something. And I think I would want to say to them, you feel like you dropped 50 IQ points overnight, and see how well you take that. Like you're walking around in a fog and your head is killing you and your ears never stop ringing and your intellect just is like bottoms out. I mean, how do you think you're going to be calm and like, well, I'll tell you what, you take all the time you need to figure this out. As my healthcare provider, it's like, no, you clearly don't seem to have a clue what I'm talking about. And again, drop 50 IQ points overnight and see how comfortable you feel about that. It's that scary. It's that weird. Now, right now, today, I feel so good. When I woke up very lucid. I woke up having dialogue about the head injury and good dialogue, not overwhelming. Like I was like, okay, especially after talking with everyone on Monday, I think today's Tuesday, on the head support group, the head injury support group. They are very calming to me. So, I am really, really glad that I have that, because they're the ones that are helping me realize my reaction, how I am, that's a normal reaction. I'm behaving normally. It's just that I'm a new person to this brain injury business. So it makes me feel good. Like I know when the doctors are not getting it, they're like, no, the doctors won't have many doctors will not have a clue if they don't get it. And so I'm like, I'm definitely experiencing that right now. I think the first doctor that I saw probably had a better understanding, because immediately he had me into a neurology appointment the next day. I was with the neurology, but I decided I wanted to go with Kaiser Permanente. I was like, well, let me go with Kaiser Permanente, because I really trusted that they were kind of really working. But I kind of think that the first doctor really had the idea, because he immediately had specialists calling me the next day. I was like, whoa. I mean, I don't know. I might go back. I don't know. I think I really want to find a doctor. So I'm going to ask the support group if they have any referrals for doctors, who can help, who have knowledge of this, and that are more compassionate. I'm not getting very much compassion from my current primary care physician, and that's a problem. I mean, for what I'm going through, I need someone who's going to be compassionate and kind. You know what I mean? And so I think that I'm going to have to switch just for that. And it was really odd. We had a conversation today, and I had told her that I was, following some of the stuff that the audiologist had recommended as far as using white noise and aromatherapy, and multitudes of things. Of course, I've always meditated and done yoga. And so, because I'm strong as an ox, that's one of the weird things about feeling so weak from your head, as I'm a very capable person who's now been limited. But I had told her in the conversation right there on the phone, I was like, she goes, well, I want you to follow up with this. And I'm like, but I'm doing all of that. It was really strange the way she reiterated it to me. Like I didn't, because I told her, I said, I'm like really finding a rhythm with this through the support group. And the audiologist, who was so compassionate, she like understood how crazy it is to have constant high frequency ear ringing in your ears is maddening. It definitely has its days where it's literally maddening. But I'm not getting any compassion from the primary care physician, so I think that she's a no-go. I think she's a little cold. And so I'm going to have to leave her, because, I think that in the current situation that I'm in, I think it's really important that I deal with someone who's going to practice compassion instead of feeling like me contacting them, and even in my panicked state, that I'm so concerned. It's like this is, and like I said, I believe that if any one of these medical professionals who aren't getting it had their IQs dropped 50 points, they'd be flipping out. Flipping out. And of course, that's the reality of head injury. And so I don't feel bad for the position that I'm in. I actually feel bad that these medical professionals aren't getting it. They don't understand. But I was warned by the support group that the medical profession would drop the ball more likely than not, and that it was good to keep trying to find doctors that are going to understand you and they're going to work with you. So yeah, I don't think that doctor is going to work for me at all. Like I said, the phone conversation was really odd. It was so odd. And so, very odd stuff. She's odd. So, like, she prescribed me medication and I was taking it as prescribed, and then she tells me I'm taking too much of it. I'm like, but I'm taking it as you prescribed it. What are you talking about? And so it was kind of odd. I was like, this is how you prescribed this medication. So I think she's just cold and she just doesn't understand at all traumatic brain injury. So I'm going to have to pull away from her because, like I said, that was just an odd thing. And then the conversation about me doing all the other stuff after I'd already told her that I was doing head injury Jane, and that I was working wonderfully with the support group online, and that I was using white noise. And then it was like she just didn't hear me. I mean, I'm the brain injury person here, and she's just like rambling on. And I'm like, we've covered this. I actually almost snapped at her. I said, I'm actually shocked. I think, just paraphrasing, I said, I'm actually shocked that I said, you're clearly not getting what it's like to go from having high cognitive function to being very impaired overnight. The panic that can create. So you don't seem to be understanding that at all. I mean, I actually snapped at her about that because I was like, you're like judging me for a head injury that I have very little control over. Once it takes me down, it takes me down. And this is new to me. I mean, I'm just now coming to all of this revelation that this is the new mind. It's very scary. So I need a doctor who's intelligent enough to recognize what's happening to a patient. So yeah, she's out. And, but no, I mean, yeah, she's great for if you're having an allergic reaction to something. That's great. She's got that covered. Don't go for serious injuries, apparently. But in either case, I've had a very good day. Like I said, cognitively strong, like I could not imagine. Drinking a nice cup of tea, which is very calming. So I have like teas that I'm incorporating, which does kind of have some of the aromatherapy in it because I treat it like like a ritual, very nice tea. And I'm like, this smells so lovely. And then I like, I'm like, so I'm trying to, now that I realize these things, well, like Pastor Deacon, or what is it? Deacon Patrick said, sorry. I'm telling you, the brain confuses. You really do have to think about everything that you're saying and doing. Like he said, you have to find your triggers and understand your triggers. And you have to slow yourself down and accept what's happening to you. So instead of it's because I was getting really frustrated. Like I said, last week was really bad. And I couldn't, it's either Sunday night or Monday night, I couldn't sleep for the ears ringing so loud. And yet my doctor's like, oh no, you just have to deal with this until you get to a brain specialist. And I'm like, okay, but okay then. I mean, no compassion, very cold. So with that being stated, so far the support group has been dead on about everybody and everything for the most part. The people who have been the most compassionate have been therapists. Go figure, of course, they're there to help you and make you feel better. People who've suffered traumatic brain injuries, they get it. They're not shocked at all by my freaking out like, oh my God. And they're like, just take it slow and give yourself a break and da-da-da. Because I was really freaking out. But like I said, today has been an excellent day. I actually feel very lucid, a lot of ear ringing. I did feel really bad at the doctor's office. It was really bizarre. I started becoming very uncomfortable. I have osteoarthritis in my neck, and I have there's a reverse curve in my neck. So my head sits like on the edge. So it's like I think your curve is supposed to be like this, and my curve is like this, and then my head sits on the edge of it, which means it weighs it down even further. So I lack total support in my neck. And I actually asked her in an email if I should have a neck brace. She never responded to that email about the neck brace. I was like, what is going on here? So I experience, and then there's bones naturally fusing in the neck. So there's a reverse curve with bones fusing with osteoarthritis in it. And apparently I'm supposed to not feel any pain with that either. Like I said, this doctor is cold. I'm shocked. I'm like, wow. And I thought that she was compassionate. I thought she was getting it. No. I mean, osteoarthritis, what it's doing to my collarbones and my shoulders when I sleep. When I wake up in the morning, oh, it hurts so bad. And I'm a little bit shocked. Osteoarthritis in my neck that has a reverse curve. And she's just like, oh well, okay, you're going to have to just deal with what you're dealing with. And I'm like, okay. Taking medication as she prescribed it. And she's like, that's too much. What? What? I'm taking it as you prescribe it. I literally have no idea how to figure that out. So I'm just thinking this doctor she's cold and maybe overwhelmed and doesn't know how to deal with traumatic brain injury patients as well. I don't know. Like I said, I was shocked that the girl at the imagery department was like, you mean this far much later you're having a head injury? And I'm like, people die years later from head injuries. What are you talking about? I'm lucky that these are the things I'm experiencing. It could be so much worse. And that's part of the fear I have, is that it's going to get worse. But like I said, today was a great day and the support group is really helping me. And doing Head Injury Jane does give me an outlet to be able to express what I'm experiencing. And how, doctors, the support group was right. Doctors will not get it. Certain doctors will not get it. So that's pretty much done there. But otherwise, great day. The ears ringing, that just never ends. That just really never ends. So that is what it is currently. But the headiness is low. Like I said, I feel cognitively strong today, which I'm so grateful for, because I was so cognitively thick for so many days in a row. And like this afternoon, I went cognitively thick, and then I've come back this evening to where I feel clear. So I actually went in and out, which is odd. Oh, you would think that it would be one way or the other. Like you would just be impaired for the day, or you wouldn't be impaired, but it's not. The head is so bizarre. It's like thick and foggy, can't function, and then it's like, oh yeah, I feel good, thick and foggy, can't function. So it's just bizarre. It's just bizarre ride the whole way. I'm just like, wow, okay. Yeah, this is weird. But I'm taking it in stride. Definitely, like I recommended before, support groups are definitely the way to go. There's so much compassion and knowledge there because they are experienced with what you're going through. And that brings such relief for me, because I feel like, I don't think all the therapy in the world face to face could touch that if you don't have traumatic brain injury experience. If you don't have head injury experience, understanding, knowledge, you're not going to get it. You're not going to be effective in treatment, and you're not going to be effective in compassion even. You can go, oh, poor girl, you sound so stressed. Yeah, you have a head injury and all of a sudden become 50 points cognitively impaired, and see if you're so casual about it. You won't be. I can promise you that. Not when you're a high functioning, high IQ individual who all of a sudden just drops. Boom. That's scary. But in either case, I think I've droned on enough, and my tea awaits me. Oh. And I'm going to do some aromatherapy later. I need to water my little garden currently. It's been quite warm today, and they were very wilty early on. So I know they're probably like, help us. So I'm going to go water my garden, which is another thing I do that's very calming to me. It requires really not much thought, which is awesome. Usually things that require a lot of thought can be very overwhelming very quick. So just remember that it's not that you're broken or that you're, something's wrong with you. Even though there's something wrong, we have these injuries. Also remember that it's okay to just slow everything down and take breaths. and really cut yourself a break. I was not cutting myself any breaks because I was so terrified I didn't really actually understand what was happening to me. And I wouldn't have any clue if it weren't for the support group. The medical staff has, I mean, oh yeah, you don't have lupus. Well, that's awesome. I could have told you that. I was healthy as an ox before the head injury, even though I had all these things wrong with me. I was fine. I was not impaired. So I really do think that my recommendation, support groups, right off the bat. I mean, outside of medical treatment for your head injury and to make sure that you're not, to get all the tests necessary to protect yourself. But the support groups, to me, are like just invaluable. They're the ones right now that I'm so calm and accepting is because of the support groups. The people in the support groups are just kind, and they give you information, and you're just like, okay, like neuroplasticity. One of the people with neuroplasticity, and I was like, okay, so I'm going to share that information. I'm passing this information along as I learn it, and now I just remembered that's something I need to share here on Head Injury Jane. So neuroplasticity, he sent me to a magazine. It was a neurology magazine webpage that has that has tremendous resources on it. So here are these people that are just sufferers. They have had head injuries, and they're the most vast amount of information that you could possibly imagine. So I'm going to pass that information on to you. And there you go. I wanted to tell you guys that. Now I'm going to upload this video, and then I'm going to go also do the neurology magazine and upload that so we can continue to kind of pay it forward with all the information and resources that if you come across this and you need help, I'm going to try to provide you with as much assistance and help and information that I can. And that's it. So I hope that you guys are doing great. This Head Injury Jane is providing me a great source of fulfillment in regard to the fact that I feel like I'm paying it forward, and that maybe if this happens to you, you won't feel so alone and so scared, because it's very scary, especially when your medical staff doesn't properly respond to you and they think you're like crazy. It's like, we think you need mental health. I'm like, you don't say. I'm kind of freaking out. I mean, I love Mary, the therapist, who actually said, you're grieving. And I was telling Anthony on the way to the CAT scan place today, I was like, I want to thank her again and again, because when, just taking those words in, it makes sense. I'm like, oh, of course I'm grieving. Okay. This is a part of the whole thing, and you don't think that. You wouldn't think that you would grieve. You would just think that you were frustrated or scared or all these different things. But I don't know if grieving comes into play. So I think it's important to acknowledge grieving. When she said that, there was just kind of like this weird, I went, huh. Now, a matter of fact, at first I didn't think. I was like, grieving? And then, of course, it stuck with me. Grieving that evening. And then I meditated on it. Grieving. Am I grieving? I'm grieving. I was grieving. Still am grieving. When you see me crying, when I come across something that impairs me tremendously, of course I'm going to grieve. I'm forgetting long-term memories. That means I might forget things about Beverly and Chase. And that, of course I'm going to grieve that. My memory, my mind is important to us. I'm so shocked that the medical doctor just drops the ball on this all the way around. I'm just shocked. Okay, well, you guys take great care. This is almost a 24-minute video. It is June the 17th, 2014, 6:47 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Watch your heads out there. Be safe. Take care, guys.